So I'm going to cover some navigation keys in Word, and then I'm going to cover some mouse keys as well. So first what I'm going to do is move around throughout the document using some keyboard shortcuts. Then I'm going to select parts of the document using similar keyboard shortcuts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top in the first paragraph here. And if you move your cursor to the right one arrow at a time, so if I use my arrow keys on my keyboard and I move one character at a time, I can do that by pressing the arrow once to the right or once to the left. If I wanted to move a word at a time, if I hold the control key and then do the same thing, so control and arrow will move me one word from left to right. So I can move it a word at a time that way. If I wanted to delete a word at a time rather than just deleting a character at a time, I can actually just hold the control key and then press the delete key. So I can delete themes and styles, and I can come over here, I can delete when. So it's basically just you put your insertion point before the word, hold down the control key, and then press the delete key. Now I can delete also words behind the insertion point if I go over and I press the backspace key with the control key. So if I do control backspace, it'll delete a word at a time behind the insertion point. Now if I wanted to go to the end of the current line, I can go to the end of the current line by using the end key on the keyboard, and it's just above the arrows, and then I can hit the home key on the keyboard and it'll move me to the end of the current line or the beginning of the current line. So the next thing I can do is if I press control and the down arrow or control and up arrow, I can move a paragraph at a time. So you can see how I'm going control down right now and then control up. Then I can also get to the last three positions I was in. So if I have a 150-page document, let's say, and in the beginning right here, I'm just before the word your, and I go down and I'm working down in page 100, let's say. And let's say I'm working in text here and I want to just go back to the previous location, it will be Shift F5. So Shift F5 will actually take you to the last three locations you were in. So it's really useful. Sometimes you might get lost in a document, a really long document, or sometimes you want to correct the table of contents and you go down to where the data is you're correcting in the body of the document, then you want to get back to the table. It's really nice. Shift F5 just takes you right back up there. Control End will take you to the end of the document. So no matter where you are, you could be in the middle of the document or the beginning of the document. Control End will take you to the very end no matter what. Control Home will take you to the very beginning of the document no matter where you are. So if I'm in the middle body here, Control Home always takes me to the beginning. So with these keys, if you hold down the Shift key in combination with a lot of these keys I just covered, you can select the data while moving. So if I wanted to select, let's say, the words your and document, if I hold down Control and Shift and then press right arrow, I can select a word at a time. Now if I go and do the opposite, if I go left, I can do the same thing. Control Shift left arrow will take me the other direction. So then I can also just be in a part of the first line here, and if I press down Control, if I press Shift and End, I can go to the end of the current line, Shift and Home to the beginning of the current line. So I can basically just select things just by holding the Shift and using the keys we covered earlier. So I'll do Shift End on this line, maybe Shift Home on this line. So basically it takes you to the beginning and the end of the line. So the next thing is I can do Control Shift and arrow. So if I start using the control, it works the same way. So if I do Control Shift down arrow, I select a paragraph at a time. If I go Control Shift up arrow, I select a paragraph at a time the other way. If I press Control Shift End, it takes me to the current insertion point to the end of the document. So no matter where I am, and I've had this a lot where I need to delete a couple pages at the end of the document, I can just kind of click wherever I want to start the deletion and then just press Control Shift End. So So if I do that, you see where it selects where I was all the way down to the end of the document. I can do the same the other way. If I do Control-Shift-Home, it selects everything from the from the current insertion point to the beginning of the document. All right, so the next thing is if I want to select everything, I just press the Control-A option. So Control-A is just think of it as select like all. So think of A as all. So Control-A selects the entire document. So next thing I can do is I could do some mouse tricks to select different parts of the document. So if I just wanted to select the current line, I kind of like going over in the left margin here, and you can see where the mouse is pointing northeastward. And when you have that mouse kind of just pointing at the text here in the left margin, you have a few things you can do. And you can also do certain things with tables that way. But with the text, you basically just click once and it'll select the current line. So I can point at a line and click and it'll select that current line. If I'm in the margin here and I click twice, it'll select the current paragraph. So it just selects the current paragraph. If I'm in the margin and I click 3 times, it selects the entire document. Now, if I'm in the paragraph and I wanted to just select a word, I can just double click on that word. So if I double click a word, it'll select the word that I'm on. So that's a nice thing too. If I triple click within a paragraph, it actually gives me the entire paragraph, so it selects the entire paragraph. So twice selects a word, and then 3 times selects the entire paragraph.